Jey Uso just made his stance even more clear, so we'll see what the latest is there with that story. We'll also check out what's going on with Liv Morgan and more. Let's start things off with a quick update for Liv Morgan. The last calendar year has been a breakout year for Liv Morgan. She won the Money in the Bank contract, successfully cashed it in on Ronda Rousey, and held the Smackdown Women's title over the summer months in 2022. And even though she lost the title, Liv has been keeping her presence strong in WWE. Immediately after she lost the title, it seemed like WWE was teasing a dark and crazy change for Liv's character. That went on for a few weeks before getting dropped without any further explanation. But then you had her Royal Rumble performance. She entered at number 2 and literally lasted until the end with Rhea Ripley. She went from having the all-time record for shortest women's Royal Rumble appearance all the way to being tied with Rhea Ripley for the longest women's Royal Rumble appearance. So she may not be holding a title anymore, but she's continuing to be booked very well in that nature. And even with the Elimination Chamber match, Liv just wasn't easily eliminated. Liv needed 2 people to perform submissions on her at the same time, and she still didn't tap. She got eliminated due to fading out. So it's little key things like that which continue to protect Liv Morgan even through losses. But fans were concerned recently because Liv Morgan was set to have a segment on the February 26th edition of Smackdown. Liv's segment was set to take place right before the Firefly Funhouse. But when that part of the show came along, fans noticed that Liv Morgan was never to be seen on the show. So Liv Morgan's segment on Smackdown looks like it was cut for time. Usually when a part of the show gets cut like this, it just means that something earlier in the show must have ran a little bit over time, which means that one of the later parts of the show will unfortunately have to pay the price and get cut. So it looks like Liv Morgan's segment unfortunately was part of the show that had to pay the price. But on the bright side, WWE advertised that Liv Morgan would be meeting Rhea Ripley next week on SmackDown. So she may have lost her role in this edition of SmackDown, but next week's role is already booked for her. So we'll have to see if we end up getting that cut Liv Morgan segment in the upcoming weeks of SmackDown. It was another confusing and bumpy week for the Bloodline. Roman Reigns was not around following his victory against Sami Zayn at Elimination Chamber, so it was just Jimmy Uso, Solo Sikoa, and Paul Heyman in the Bloodline's locker room, with Jey Uso's whereabouts still being a big mystery. Jimmy Uso arrived on SmackDown and had a quick interview with Kayla Braxton. Jimmy says that he hasn't had much of any communication with Jey at all, ever since their successful title defense a few weeks ago, but how he was inviting Jey out to the ring later in the night, just for them to clear the air face to face, and for Jey to get everything off his chest. Jimmy is then seen talking with Solo Sikoa, and he goes over the recent events. Jimmy says that things were crazy after Royal Rumble, but how he still knew Jey Uso would show up to defend the tag team titles after Royal Rumble. But now Jimmy said that after Elimination Chamber, things feel even more different, and he seems unsure if Jey's gonna be there for them anymore. Paul Heyman steps in and advises Jimmy Uso to leave Solo Sikoa behind and just go and talk to Jey Uso in the middle of the ring on his own and handle this situation personally. Paul Heyman also noted that Roman Reigns would be returning soon to address all the Bloodline's issues, starting with Jey Uso in the coming weeks. So that was Heyman putting the urgency notice on this situation for Jimmy Uso, basically telling him to get Jey on the right page tonight before Roman has to do it. So Jimmy Uso comes out to the ring and he directly addresses Jey Uso. Jimmy tells Jey that he knows he's torn and hurt, and how when Jey's hurt, Jimmy can also feel the same pain. Jimmy says that he's always been there for Jey, no matter what's going on, and how he needs Jey to come out and talk to him right now. Jimmy then acknowledges all the talks and rumblings of cracks popping up in the Bloodline. He says that they have a Kevin Owens problem, a Sami Zayn problem, and how they have to defend these tag team championships. Jimmy says that he knows Jey has problems with Roman Reigns, but how he needs him and can't do this alone. That leads to Sami Zayn making an appearance. Sami is peaceful. He doesn't want to attack Jimmy, but instead tries talking to him. Sami explains how Jimmy used to be his brother, how Jimmy was the first one to welcome Sami Zayn into the Bloodline long before Jey finally came around. Sami even brought up some great points, like how it was Jimmy who made Sami the honorary Uso in the first place. Sami said that even with all that history between the two of them, Jimmy didn't have to hesitate to attack Sami Zayn at the Royal Rumble. Sami said that Jimmy just instantly kicking him at the Royal Rumble like that without a single thought behind it just really hurt him the most. But Jimmy Uso responds to Sami Zayn and says that Sami left him no choice after what he did to Roman Reigns. Jimmy says that he shouldn't get any blame or feel guilty because it was Sami who had the chair and pulled the trigger. Sami pointed out Roman's questionable way of leadership. He said that real family doesn't test each other's loyalty every single week, the way that Roman does. Sami Zayn flat out tells Jimmy Uso to his face that himself, Jey, and everyone has been manipulated by Roman Reigns. Sami also says that he'll do everything to make sure Roman Reigns and the Bloodline comes crashing down. But he told Jimmy the same thing he told Jey, that Jimmy doesn't have to go down with the ship, that there's a way out for him if he acts right now. Jey Uso appears and walks down through to the ring through the crowd. The distraction of Jey's appearance allows Jimmy to land a cheap shot on Sami Zayn. But when Jimmy was trying to yell out to Jey Uso, Sami took advantage and took Jimmy out. Solo Sikoa would eventually come out, which made Sami Zayn flee through the crowd. But the important thing to really take from this segment right here was Jey Uso's reaction and his current stance. This segment showed us that Jey Uso doesn't really know where he stands right now. First thing to notice is his clothes. Usually whenever Jey Uso makes an appearance on WWE television, he'll have on a Bloodline related shirt or any other merchandise items. But for this SmackDown appearance, he had the tag team titles in his hands, but he was dressed in all plain black clothing with no Bloodline or Uso related merchandise on at all. And Jey Uso didn't move at all while everything was going on in the ring. He didn't quickly jump the barrier to help Jimmy Uso with Sami Zayn, nor did he jump the barrier to help Sami Zayn with Jimmy Uso. Jey delivered a clear message without speaking a single word, and that message is that he's not on anyone's side right now. He's not fully on Sami Zayn's side, but he's not fully on board with the Bloodline either, so he's more split than ever. So as the weeks go on, and as Jey pulls more and more far away from the Bloodline, this is most likely only going to increase the intensity of whatever punishment Roman Reigns has in store for Jey Uso. Remember, Roman Reigns hasn't really been able to get a hold of Jey Uso since Royal Rumble. They had a quick and nasty encounter at Elimination Chamber, but Roman hasn't been able to get a hold of Jey for well over a month now. So Roman still has to punish him for Royal Rumble, for skipping SmackDown, for what he pulled off at Elimination Chamber, and for what Jey just did on the February 24th edition of SmackDown. So that's why Heyman tried warning Jimmy Uso. If Roman Reigns has to fix this Jey Uso situation, it's probably not going to be pretty. So that's likely going to be the next big moments in this story. Roman Reigns will attempt to put Jey Uso back in his place, and the events that happen there and in the weeks after that will lead us towards Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus the Usos. And if the Usos can't successfully defend their titles in that match, things will only get more scary. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.